Parents sided with my BFF of a lifetime when she ruined my marriage by announcing that she slept with my husband on our anniversary, and went as far as to pay for their honeymoon as an apology over my tantrums. 6 years later, one DNA test revealed everything, and now the entire family is breaking apart over the news. I had known Ella, 35, female, since we were kids. She was my best friend, the person I trusted more than anyone besides my family. We did everything together growing up, and even as adults, we remained inseparable. My parents, Kevin, 60, male, and Moira, 59, loved her like a second daughter. She was always welcome in our home, always included in family vacations, always treated like she was part of the family. I never imagined that she would be the one to ruin my life. Lucas, 35, male, and I had been married for 3 years. Our relationship was not perfect, but I truly believed we were happy. We had built a life together, supported each other through thick and thin, and I thought we had a solid foundation. This happened 6 years back on our anniversary. Our wedding anniversary was always a special day for us, and that year I had planned a beautiful celebration. I spent weeks making sure everything was perfect. Ella showed up at the anniversary dinner uninvited. She walked into the restaurant like she owned the place, smiling like nothing was wrong. And then in front of everyone, other diners, waiters, she announced that she had been sleeping with Lucas. Not just once, not just recently, but for the past year. She acted as if she was sharing casual news, something trivial, while my entire world shattered around me. I looked at Lucas, waiting for him to deny it, to say something, anything. But he just sat there silent, guilty, confirming everything without a single word. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, to cry, to demand answers, but all I could do was sit there frozen in shock. Ella had stolen my husband, and she had chosen my anniversary to tell me. When I finally found the strength to walk out of that restaurant, I thought my parents would be on my side. I expected comfort, outrage, support. Instead, I was met with disappointment, not towards Lucas or Ella, but towards me. My parents told me I was overreacting, that I was being dramatic. They said that things like this happened, that marriage was not perfect, that forgiveness was important. They made excuses for Ella, saying she had always been impulsive, that she didn't mean to hurt me. They even defended Lucas, claiming that men made mistakes, that it was natural. I was completely alone. My husband betrayed me, my best friend betrayed me, and my parents refused to acknowledge the depth of my pain. It was as if my feelings didn't matter at all, as if I was being unreasonable for expecting loyalty from the people I love the most. And the worst part? My parents actually paid for Ella and Lucas's honeymoon. Yes. As an apology for what they called my tantrum and my refusal to be mature about the situation, they sent them on an all-expenses-paid trip to Europe, treating them like newlyweds while I was left to pick up the pieces of my destroyed marriage. It felt like a cruel joke, like a slap in the face. My parents had chosen Ella over me. They had chosen the woman who ruined my life over their own daughter. I tried to make them see how much they had hurt me, but it was useless. They didn't understand. Or maybe they didn't care. They kept telling me to move on, to be happy for Ella and Lucas, to stop making everything about myself. It was like I was invisible, like my pain was an inconvenience to them. They had always adored Ella, and now it was clear that their loyalty lay with her, not me. I stopped answering their calls. I couldn't stand hearing their voices, acting as if nothing was wrong, as if I was the one making things difficult. Every message from my mom was about how disappointed she was in me, how I was being stubborn, how I needed to grow up. My dad would send short, cold texts telling me I should accept reality and stop being bitter. Not once did they ask how I was doing, how I was coping with the loss of my marriage. They only cared about making sure Ella and Lucas were happy. I saw the pictures of their honeymoon on social media. They looked thrilled, like they hadn't just destroyed my life. My parents commented on every post, telling them how beautiful they looked, how happy they were for them. I blocked them all. 6 years passed, and life moved forward, but I never truly recovered from what had happened. The betrayal sat in the back of my mind like an old wound that refused to heal. I distanced myself from my parents, from Ella, from Lucas, and from anyone who had sided with them. I built a life of my own. Then everything changed again. A single DNA test shattered what little stability remained in my family. It started when my mother, Moira, decided to confide in Ella about something she had been keeping secret for decades. Moira told Ella that my father, Kevin, was actually her biological father. Ella didn't believe it at first. Why would she? It sounded ridiculous. We had grown up as best friends, not sisters. But my mother insisted, saying she had known the truth for years, but had kept it hidden because she felt guilty. She had been close friends with Ella's mother, and my father had been having an affair with her the entire time he was married to my mom. When Ella was born, my father didn't step up as a dad, and my mother, feeling guilty about the whole situation, tried to make up for it in her own way. She convinced my father to provide for Ella and her mother secretly. He bought them a house in our neighborhood. He made sure Ella attended the same school as me. He kept her in our lives under the guise of generosity. All while my mother carried the guilt of knowing the truth but refusing to expose my father's affair. Ella, still skeptical, decided to take a DNA test. When the results came back, everything crumbled. My mother had called me that morning and told me my father was very sick and I absolutely needed to be there, though I was skeptical. I went there. My mother lied, of course. When I reached, she said I deserved to know my sister. Kevin was indeed Ella's biological father. My father had spent years pretending he was only helping Ella out of kindness when in reality she was his daughter. My mother had known all along and still favored Ella over me because she felt guilty about denying her a father for so many years. The fallout was immediate. My father denied nothing. He didn't even try to defend himself. My mother broke down, claiming she had been trapped in the secret for decades and had done the best she could. Ella was furious, not because she had been lied to, but because she felt like she had been used. She wasn't angry at my father, though. She was angry at my mother for not telling her sooner. She was angry at me for getting a better childhood, for being the daughter my father actually acknowledged. She turned her rage towards me as if I had anything to do with the situation. My entire family exploded with accusations, resentment, and decades of buried secrets surfacing at once. My father barely spoke. My mother kept crying.
Ella played the victim, and I just stood there numb.
How was I supposed to process this? The woman who had betrayed me by sleeping with my husband was actually my half-sister. My parents had betrayed me in more ways than I ever imagined. Everything I had ever known about my life was a lie. My childhood best friend had been planted in my life to make up for an affair. My mother's love for Ella had nothing to do with friendship and everything to do with guilt. My father had been a cheater long before Lucas ever came into my life. It was like my entire existence had been built on deception. The family broke apart. My mother and father barely spoke. Ella started demanding that Kevin make up for lost time, claiming he owed her for the years she spent fatherless. My father, always wanting to take the easy way out, suddenly acted as if he had always wanted to be in Ella's life and started giving her everything she asked for. My mother resented him for it, despite being the one who had allowed it to happen for so long. I watched it all from the outside, feeling like I had been cast out of my own family, while the person who had destroyed my life was now being rewarded with everything she wanted. So I walked away. I cut ties with all of them, not out of spite, but for my own peace. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. But my mother tried reaching out to me constantly, begging for forgiveness. I don't want to forgive her. Ida for refusing to forgive any of them? Update 1. After I walked away from my family, I thought that would be the end of it. I had spent too much time being hurt by them, and I wasn't going to let their drama consume me any longer. But just because I stepped away didn't mean the chaos stopped. If anything, it got worse. Ella wasted no time in claiming her place as my father's real daughter. She went on a mission to take everything she could from him. His money, his time, his attention. And my father, who had spent decades pretending she didn't exist in that way, suddenly became the doting father she had always wanted. He started introducing her to the extended family as if she had always been a part of us. They took trips together, spent holidays together, and he even changed his will to include her. My mother spiraled. She had spent her entire life carrying the weight of my father's affair. And now she was watching the child of that affair take her place in his life. But instead of blaming my father, she blamed me. In her mind, everything fell apart because I'd stepped away. If I had just accepted things, if I had just let it go, none of this would have happened. She kept reaching out, trying to guilt me back into the family, but I refused. I had given them all enough of my time and energy, and I was done. Ella got exactly what she wanted. She had my father's full attention, his money, and the validation she had spent her whole life chasing. But it still wasn't enough for her. She wanted more. She wanted the perfect family she had been denied growing up. And when that didn't happen, she turned on my father, too. She accused him of never truly caring, of only acknowledging her now out of guilt. She resented the fact that he had chosen to stay with my mother all those years instead of stepping up for her. She wanted revenge. She got it. She told my mother everything, every detail of their affair, every time he had lied, every promise he had made to Ella's mother. She painted the picture of a man who had never truly been loyal to anyone. And my mother, already broken from everything that had happened, completely fell apart. But the destruction didn't stop there. My father, feeling betrayed by Ella's accusations, cut her off. The same woman he had bent over backwards for, the daughter he had finally acknowledged, was now just another person who had turned against him. He revoked the changes to his will and stopped speaking to her altogether. Ella, furious, lashed out at both of her parents. She blamed my father for his neglect, blamed her mother for accepting so little from him, and blamed me for having it easy, even though my life had been anything but easy. Oh, and Ella is still pretending as if my mother is also her mother and that she loves her so much. The extended family didn't know where to stand in all of this. Some people took my mother's side, saying she had been humiliated enough and deserved better. Others felt bad for my father, arguing that he had simply made mistakes but didn't deserve to have his entire family collapse. And then there were those who sympathized with Ella, believing she had been robbed of the life she should have had. It was a mess, one I wanted no part of. Despite everything, my mother still wanted me to come back. She left messages saying she was sorry for how things turned out and that she never meant to hurt me. But I knew better. She was alone. And that's the only reason she wanted me back. Not because she truly regretted how she treated me, but because she had no one else left. Ella, too, reached out. She tried to act like we had some kind of shared trauma, like we were both victims of my father's selfishness. But I wasn't interested. She had spent years trying to take what was mine, my friends, my family, my life, and now that it had all blown up in her face, she wanted me to be her sister. No, that wasn't going to happen. As for my father, he never reached out. Not once. He simply moved on with his life. He found another woman, someone younger, and started over as if none of this had ever happened. That hurt in a way I wasn't expecting. Not because I wanted a relationship with him, but because it proved once and for all that he had never truly cared about any of us. Through all of this, I stayed away. I focused on myself, but I won't pretend it didn't affect me. Even though I had chosen to leave, there was still something painful about watching my family completely fall apart. It felt like confirmation that I had never really belonged there in the first place. The one thing that still haunts me is the fact that even after everything, they still blame me. My mother blames me for walking away. My father blames me for not understanding why he did what he did. Ella blames me for having the life she wanted. No matter what, I was always going to be the villain in their story. And honestly, I'm okay with that, because at least I got out. Update 2. I never imagined that something as special as my wedding would become a battleground. But here we are. I've been hesitant to write an update, but after everything that's happened, I feel like I need to get this off my chest and ask for some advice. It's been an emotional roller coaster, and I'm honestly exhausted. So, here's what went down. A few weeks ago, I heard from my mom again. Out of nowhere, she reached out. I didn't even know how she found out I was getting married. I guess someone must have told her, but I'm honestly not sure who because I didn't want to share the news with her. After everything that's happened with her, our difficult history, the lies, the manipulations, I didn't feel it was right to have her at my wedding. But I guess she felt differently. When I first heard from her, she made it sound like she was just reaching out to say hello and that she was happy for me. I honestly didn't know what to expect, but I thought it would be polite to respond. But as soon as I did, things quickly spiraled. My mom started acting like the victim. She said things like, "I can't believe you're not inviting me to your wedding. This is your big day and I should be there." It didn't take long before I realized this wasn't a simple message or an attempt to reconnect. She was genuinely hurt and angry. She even started saying I was being cruel for not inviting her. She made it all about her and, as usual, played the victim card. Look, I get that she's my mom and people say you should always make room for family on big days like this, but for me, that just wasn't an option. There's a lot of history between us, and the truth is her actions over the years have made me feel betrayed, unheard, and unsupported. I've tried over and over to have a healthy relationship with her, but each time she crosses boundaries and causes drama. I couldn't just ignore everything and pretend like things were okay for the sake of the wedding. I had to protect myself and my peace, especially after the mess she caused last time I saw her. So, I told her very clearly that I wasn't inviting her to the wedding. I explained that it wasn't personal, but that I felt it was the best choice for me and Chris, 38, male, my fiancé, now husband. I told her that this wedding wasn't the place to try and fix things. I was firm, but not rude, just honest. And then things got really out of hand. The day of my wedding arrived, and everything was going beautifully. The ceremony went smoothly. The reception was exactly what we dreamed of. And I was surrounded by the people who truly cared about me. But in the middle of all of that, something unexpected happened. My mom showed up. I don't know how she found out the details, but somehow she showed up at the venue uninvited. She tried to get past the security guard at the entrance, and when he stopped her, she started making a scene. She screamed, she cried, she even tried to guilt him into letting her in. I could hear it from inside the building. And it was honestly one of the most stressful moments of the entire day. The whole event was thrown into chaos for a few minutes while the staff tried to handle the situation. Of course, Chris and I were informed right away. I couldn't believe it. There she was, after everything I'd said, after all the boundaries I'd set, still trying to crash the wedding and make it about her. The staff handled the situation by calling the police and having her escorted out of the venue. But by that point, the damage was done. My wedding day was completely overshadowed by her drama. I felt angry, frustrated, and completely violated. I had to pause everything to deal with the situation, and it really took away from the joy of the day. After that, I just wanted to move on. The day wasn't going as I had hoped. But I tried my best to enjoy it. I wanted to forget about the drama and focus on my new life with Chris, but it didn't end there. The next few days were a blur. I was exhausted from everything that had happened. But I finally managed to get on a plane and head out for our honeymoon. Chris and I were both looking forward to this trip more than anything. It was our time to relax and start our new chapter as a married couple. But my mom wasn't done. Oh no. While we were on our honeymoon, she started blowing up my phone with messages. At first, I tried to ignore her, but it quickly became overwhelming. She sent multiple texts every day telling me how hurt she was, that I'd shut her out. She kept saying I was breaking her heart, asking why I couldn't just forgive her and let her be part of my life. It was like she thought she could just wave a magic wand and everything would be okay. At one point, she even called me. I didn't answer, but then she left a voicemail asking me to reconsider, saying she didn't understand why I was punishing her. It was like she was still stuck in this poor me mindset, completely ignoring the fact that she was the one who caused all this. She wasn't taking responsibility for anything. It was all about how I was wrong. I started to feel a combination of anger and exhaustion. I didn't need this. While I was trying to enjoy a once-in-a-lifetime trip with my husband, I felt trapped in this cycle of guilt and frustration. I knew I couldn't keep letting her control my emotions like this. So, after days of her messaging and calling, I did something I never thought I'd have to do. I blocked her. I blocked her number, her email, and her on social media. I didn't want to do it, but it was the only way to get any peace. The guilt hit me immediately, and I wondered if I was being too harsh. Was I overreacting? But deep down, I knew it was the right thing. My mom had shown time and time again that she wasn't willing to respect my boundaries, and I couldn't keep letting her walk all over me. Now, I'm back from my honeymoon, and things are still up in the air. I feel like I'm in this strange limbo between guilt for blocking her and relief because I don't have to deal with her drama anymore. I want peace, and I want to move on with my life. But I don't know if that means cutting my mom out forever or if I should try to reconnect at some point in the future. What should I do? Should I keep blocking her and protecting my own peace? Or should I try to reach out to her at some point despite all the hurt she's caused? I'm honestly lost here. I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions. I don't want to be heartless, but I also don't want to keep allowing her to destroy my happiness. If anyone has advice, I'd really appreciate it. What's the best way to deal with a parent who refuses to respect boundaries? How do I move forward without feeling guilty or constantly worried about her trying to manipulate the situation again? Thanks for listening, everyone. Update 3. I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened recently, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. It feels like everything changed in the blink of an eye. If you've been following my story, you already know how difficult things have been with my mom. After so many years of hurt and disappointment, I never expected things to turn out the way they did, but here I am sharing the latest update with all of you. I still can't believe it. My mom filed for divorce from my dad, and to be honest, I didn't see it coming. They'd had a lot of problems over the years, but I thought my mom would stay in the marriage for the long haul. I never expected her to actually leave him. But I guess there comes a point when things fall apart completely and you can't pretend everything's okay anymore. My mom was unhappy for a long time, but I guess I never thought she would do something about it. After filing for divorce, she moved out. I didn't know where she was going at first, but I soon found out she was staying in a motel. She had no plan, no money, nowhere to go. All her things were still in the house, and she was living with just the basics. It was hard to imagine her in that situation, especially after everything she put me through in the past. But in that moment, I couldn't ignore the fact that she was completely alone. But it didn't stop there. To make things even more difficult for her, Ella, who had been acting like my mom was her mother for so long, completely abandoned her. Ella had been pretending to care, acting like she was always there for my mom. But when things got tough, she disappeared. I guess Ella wasn't ready for the reality of what was happening. She didn't want to be involved when my mom really needed help. And that left my mom with nothing. I knew I didn't want to get too involved with my mom again, especially after everything that's happened between us. We've had so many issues over the years that I've built up walls to protect myself from the constant drama and manipulation she's brought into my life. But when I found out she was alone in that motel, I couldn't just walk away. I couldn't leave her to figure things out by herself, no matter how much she had hurt me in the past. At first, I didn't know what to do. I was angry and confused. I didn't want to let her back into my life. But at the same time, I couldn't just ignore her completely. I kept thinking about how hard things must be for her, especially after everything had fallen apart. And I realized that despite everything, I couldn't just leave her stranded. After thinking it over for a few days, I decided to reach out to her. I sent her a message and told her she could come stay with me for a while. I wasn't ready to build a relationship with her. I made that clear right away. I told her I wasn't prepared to act like everything was fine, but that she could stay with me until she figured out her next steps. It felt like the right thing to do, but it also felt like the hardest decision I'd ever made. She was shocked when I offered. I could tell she wasn't expecting me to help her. She thanked me, and soon enough she showed up at my door. The moment she arrived, I saw how lost she really was. She didn't have much, just a few bags and a look on her face that told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't the same person who had manipulated and hurt me for so long. She was broken, tired, and seemed unsure of what to do next. Since she's been staying with me, things have been strange. There's a lot of silence between us. We don't talk much. I'm still trying to figure out what to say or how to act around her. I've made it clear that I'm not ready to have a relationship with her. But I also didn't want to kick her out when she had nowhere else to go. It's an uncomfortable situation, to say the least. I've been trying to find a balance between helping her and protecting myself. I don't want to fall back into the old patterns of our relationship. I don't want to start relying on her or letting her manipulate me again. But at the same time, I don't want to be heartless. She's not the same person who caused so much pain in the past. And I know she's going through a difficult time. I just don't know how to navigate all of this. Having her here has also brought up a lot of old feelings. I've been reminding myself that I don't have to forgive her right now. I don't have to pretend like everything's okay. But it's still hard to be in the same space as her and not feel conflicted. Part of me wants to help her, but another part of me wants to keep my distance. I can't ignore the years of hurt, and I don't want to risk falling back into old habits. She's been respectful so far, keeping to herself most of the time. She hasn't tried to push me to open up or force a relationship. I'm glad for that. It's given me space to think and figure out what I want. I still don't know if I can ever fully heal from everything that's happened between us, but I also know I can't shut her out completely. This is just where we are right now. It's a moment of uncertainty. So, that's where things stand right now. I've opened my home to her, but I've made it clear that I'm not ready to rebuild our relationship. It's still a work in progress, and I'm not sure where it will go from here. I don't know if we'll ever have a close relationship again, but I'm trying to take the small steps that feel right for me. If anyone has been through something similar or has advice on how to handle this kind of situation, I'd love to hear it. It's tough to navigate, and any perspective would be helpful. Thanks for reading.